All right. So thanks everybody for coming. We're going to go ahead and get started with the budget workshop. As I was saying earlier, you know, we've gone through several drafts over the last 2 weeks. You know, and with the help of Marty from TML, who was here on Tuesday this week with Sal and Betsy to kind of assist in putting the budget together. There are some changes, but not very many. So we're going to go ahead and allow Sal and Betsy to kind of go over the budget, the numbers, and hopefully we can be in a position where we can go ahead and approve this at our next council meeting. All right, guys, it's all you.
Okay, so the proposed budget before you is a very conservative, balanced budget. And if you so approve to move forward, we can set up to pass this budget on September 23rd to meet all our legal requirements. However, we will dive back in starting in October to work towards a mid-year budget amendment when we have a better understanding of our finances and revenue. So we can address the additions like the new positions, financing for new equipment, etc., as we previously discussed. This will also give us more time and information to improve the formatting of the budget. Uh, for example, the official rate increase for San Pat Water District, we know that's going to probably, we won't know anything till like December. We do have an estimation. We'll go over that later. Um, and and the real-time collection of the revenues of property taxes as well at that time. This proposed budget is a bare bones budget that contains conservative projections based on current revenue data and the no new revenue tax rate, with the expected increases, which include, the EMS services, the 4% increase to garbage, and the estimated 5% of the water costs, along with some cuts and adjustments. We worked on this budget and plan with Miss Marty Simpson from TML Financial Services, and it was advised that this was the best approach to continue to move in the right direction. So
You see those getting like EMS, water, those go?
the big ticket items were basically the EMS,
Okay.
and I'll go over that here. The 4% to the garbage, that's contractually we're obligated to that, and then we got an estimated 5% from the water district, and they were clear that that's just an estimate right now because they don't vote officially till December. And if you remember last year,
Yeah.
we had an estimation, and then in December it kind of jumped up. Um, so some of the again back to that specifically, some of the significant changes were we kind of went back and forth here and there, but we basically summary of the decreases would have been about we removed $10,000 from the council contingency. We completely wiped out the merit raise line item. That's to zero. Of course, we don't have an election, so we saved about $12,736.28 there. We removed $10,000 from the contractor funds, and there was about $2,500 that we removed from the police department section, and that's some of the areas of improvement because the court and the police department are one budget; it should be separate. But specifically, those were like police uniforms and vehicle repair, so we don't need those right now. So we just zeroed that out. We didn't delete that, and we just zeroed it out. Um, so in basically on your budget packet, your first page, you will see this is basically a summary of the changes here. So if you look at that last column, if you see, excuse me, if you see parentheses, that means that's where we removed, that's the budget reduced for that area. And then everything else would be increases. And a lot of that adjustment was just to balance the budget. Um, did anyone have any specific questions on this? Again, this is a balanced budget. This isn't a perfect document. It's the formatting's, an issue. Typically, ideal, the dream is to have Encode produce this. This is basically an Excel spreadsheet, and we're pulling the best data that we have from Encode and getting it back in, and then, based off previous projections, we don't want to overextend, those projections as well. So we kind of just stayed close to what we kind of collected last year as far as any kind of revenue. Marty, are you there? Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Make sure you're on speaker here. So I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add, Ms. Simpson.
here remotely, just to save a little bit of travel time for the city of Odom. Worked really hard with the staff, with Betsy and with Sal, and appreciate all the hard work that they put into this budget. We will have to come back and amend the budget at mid-year, so we wanted to bring forward the Voluntary Fair budget. The staff scrubbed line items. They went down line item by line item and scrubbed where they could to find some potential savings to give you that, again, once again, that fair budget to be before you. Wanted to be frugal and wanted to be just take care of the tax planning as prudent as possible. But again, thank you, Sal. Thank you, Betsy, for all the hard work. Mayor, thank you as well for working with us to bring this budget to what's possible.
Thank you, Marty. I mean, it's pretty standard. Like I said, there's no increases as far as like additions. We just had a kind of, maneuver basically on the projected revenues that we have. So
Can we go over what the projected total budget is for the year? What's our total budget, and then we'll kind of break down the revenue aspect of where those numbers are coming from.
Well, this budget, we use the no new revenue tax rate on there. That's what
Which was
it's going to be 52,689 cents per 100. In this budget, we're going to raise more revenue from property taxes than last year by $11,950, which is 1.38% increase from last year's budget. Property tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax roll is $15,749. And last year's rate, I believe, that was used was the 0.532605. So it's a slight decrease.
what was the increase percentage wise? 1.38.
1.38. And then we were able to achieve the budget, balancing it by, we have several increases, like Sal had mentioned, ambulance, water rates, by decreasing some line items, like salaries, and getting some of the stuff out that should be in there. It was like being carried over from the previous year.
So one thing that I kind of had, we kind of had a difficult time when we were working through this was, if you guys remember last year, the water district gave us an estimated increase in water rates, and that's what we used to formulate our budget. But then November, when they approved, came back, they had approved it, and the rate was actually higher than what we had initially budgeted for. So instead of going back and amending the budget and adding that additional increase, which I think it went from like 4 or 5% to like 6 or 7% increase.
It came out to a $6,000 shortfall.
So instead of going back and increasing the rates to the customers, we decided to just go ahead and just, just take the downfall, basically, like you said. So we kind of had a little issue because it's another increase this year. We still had an increase from last year that we didn't. So I think what we're doing is we're just going to pass the increase through. Is that correct? Kind of.
Right.
So we might have to come back after the new year when the real numbers come back to see what the real numbers are, and maybe meet again to see if we want to amend the budget and add that additional increase, because we're kind of already, because last year we didn't go back and add the additional 2 to 3%. So we kind of had a little back and forth on that, on how to address that. And I think what we did is just.
This budget, we projected the water rates to be at the same rate that they are now until December, and have the increase in January, whenever we actually have the actual rates. Because I don't know if y'all want to do an increase now, then do an increase in January, or
Yeah,
Yeah, it wouldn't take effect till January
But-
because they don't make their decision. So we go October, November, December with current billing. And then if y'all decide to, pass, well, we're supposed to pass it along, but as far as like how much, depending on this particular 5%. So it would say in our fiscal year, it's like 2 or 3 months of just the customer doesn't have to incur.
and then starting October, that would be the trash rates at 4% higher.
okay. So, yeah, so we kind of had a little, I guess it was a little difficult on how to move forward with that. So I think, as you guys said, we're just gonna, hold off on that until we know for exactly what the increase is gonna be, and then we can, I don't know, have a workshop, I guess, to see if we're gonna amend the budget and pass that increase along. So,
But for our total budget, proposed budget, it's $903,591 for revenue and for expenses, getting us to zero.
3,903,000.
Which is about a $7,800 difference in last year's budget. Increase. And then we were able to maintain the council contingency. It went down $9,000 to $46,982. Last year, we needed to use 18,000 of that for the ambulance cost. So that's what it was used. It was useful for in the prior year budget. And then the expense reserve is at $84,613 in the general fund. And then we've got in the system fund, we have a $76,000 expense reserve. Really helpful in paying for some of the new things that we'll need.
What was the reserve again on the system fund?
76,993. And that will maybe help out with whenever we have numbers on the Parker ISG.
Okay. So we also, in the past, we've had to subsidize the system fund with garbage. So we're able to get through this year without having to subsidize it.
I think we did do some transfer in, if you count that. What was the
So
transfer?
it's not, system fund's not kind of holding its own yet.
Am I wrong about that?
They are.
Yeah.
But I believe that there was some changes. The biggest change is for the meter project, those expenses,
Right.
they were moved out of the system fund and they
Oh,
were
that's-
put into the general fund. And that's
Okay.
why the general fund had to take a huge hit on several items along with the ambulance. We would like to, whenever we amend later on, and just put that in a separate fund, a debt service fund.
Yeah, again, so like and we're gonna this is something that Marty had also mentioned to us as well about, that we need to start planning sooner. We'll probably start in April next year to really start dialing this down, and she's gonna work with us on a calendar for next year to kind of keep us on track. So, yeah, this budget is designed to where it's balanced, but we also just have a little bit of contingency in each of those departments in case something unexpected happens. But I was at least happy to see that we were able to maintain the reserve. Initially, we thought we had to wipe it out completely, but we were able to, with some finagling, we were able to be able to keep putting money aside, that 5%.
Any questions? I think you've answered all my questions over the last 2 weeks, so I just,
I
Just-
think we're gonna be all right, Mayor, because like I said, we're getting more water revenue. We got more houses being built.
And that's another thing with doing the water rates later, putting that off, we'll have better numbers
Yeah.
because we only have, I think, 1 month's worth of on the new meters that are gonna be more accurate. So we'll be able to project a lot better.
And more houses coming on the tax roll too, isn't it? We're getting more houses on the tax roll.
well, I know, and I got an email, was it, Sal, a couple weeks ago on the property out by the school, that they're already finalizing the property out by the school, and I know that developer was looking at somewhere around 200 to 250 homes right there where the Lanes property is. But we don't know when they're going to be built, so they're just finalizing the purchase of the property. So,
We've been
Yeah,
working.
it'll be like 2 years.
yeah, so it's hard to kind of say, okay, well, we're going to have this extra tax roll right now when we don't really know. And then the property over here on the east side of town also, they're finalizing some things. They're just looking for, I guess, to start the groundbreaking. They need to get some other agreements settled before they start that. So
One of the main things is they're trying to source dirt to build up.
But are they gonna want to volunteer themselves to be annexed?
Who's that?
It's not in the city limit.
which one?
The one behind the school?
Uh-huh.
Yes, no, they want to be part of it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, they just can't, because they're still finalizing the purchase. Right now, we've been kind of, I've been more in the loop about their drainage studies and how, what they're wanting to do. They're going to do some extra stuff to help with the drainage, if you
Yes.
know that side of the, right. That also, but along that way, in front of the elementary and the primary school, that side of the road, the drainage is terrible, but and they're going to help improve that.
Well, it's bad because of the rail.
Mhm.
The rail only has 2 culverts, I think, big
Mhm.
culverts. So that's where the problem is. It's been all these years.
Right.
But,
Oh, and we just
if they
had
could
that.
push it out the other opposite way, then that'd be good,
Right. Yeah.
all that water.
And we'll make sure to, I guess, when that time comes, to kind of get the drainage district involved, like we did with this other project over here, to make sure that we have enough drainage. So it doesn't add, I mean, Vista already has an issue, and Flournoy also. We don't want to add more to them.
Yeah, the problem
Yeah,
with
so-
them is that they were natural drain, they were never underground system.
Yeah.
Because we've tried every engineer that comes in. So you don't have underground system. That's, back in the day, Vista and Flournoy, Diachi, they were just built, just with curb. That's it.
Yeah.
There was no gutter system.
So,
Do we know when Odom South is gonna start? The new part that Lori's
I
doing?
spoke to Lori the other day, she's still finalizing.
Okay. I just,
So-
it's been a while, so.
yeah, so we got a lot of things coming up, but it's hard to, when you're working on the budget for this fiscal year, to say, okay, well, this is going to happen, that's going to happen.
The
Even
only
with
thing
the
that happens
increase.
whenever there is a subdeveloper, once they annex, then automatically the whole property is billed on taxes, the property itself. But individual, that one you won't see it till 2 or 3 years from
So,
now. It's still a good thing.
and even with the
Everything
water,
in the books.
even with the water meters, I think we went back and forth about, well, how much have we collected difference over the last 2 cycles? And it's like, well, it's hard to really speculate with just two pay cycles so far with the new meters to say, okay, well, this is how much we're going to generate. So it's like, might as well not play with the numbers right now. Let's just wait until, we get at least a year under our belt and we can say, okay, well, this is how much we generated. And then we're able to use better numbers. So, all right. So ultimately at the end, what is, our numbers look like, for the end of the fiscal year? Are we, our budget look, I think you said that, I know some of the, like the system and garbage and stuff, there's a little bit of cushion. So what does the whole overall budget look like for the end of the year?
Just as a summary, answer to that would be that we'll be able to afford to continue with operations. Some of the improvements, again, if they wanted to make, we just have to kind of wait on that.
Right.
It's just part of this whole thing. We just have to kind of muddle through the best we can, but we're able, we're sustaining ourselves, so to speak. Bare minimum.
Is Marty still there?
Yes.
Marty?
Hold on, let me put on screen real quick. Okay, got you on speaker. You're good.
Perfect. Hi.
Hey, Marty.
Do you have a question for me?
Yes, this is Mayor Maldonado. Good morning, ma'am. So I know you came down here, worked on Tuesday with them, and I know that we were back and forth on the phone and by email. So, I mean, what do you think about, like I said, when we spoke last, I mean, I felt pretty confident with the budget that you guys worked up to bring you before council for this workshop. So, I mean, what do you think? I know you've had your hands kind of in it over the last 2 weeks. So, and you know where we started and where we are now. So, if you could just share with the council, how you feel.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. I feel real confident with staff. We spent the last 2 weeks immersed in the budget. As I was speaking earlier, line by line, I feel confident that the staff understands the budget. The staff has looked at, I would pretty much say that since how you looked at every number in this budget, the budget will need to be amended. There's some questions that council, and some action that council will probably need to make. Some discussions on possible rate increases, but we did not want to bring anything involving a rate increase to y'all at this point in time if we don't have enough information. So I do feel confident it's a bare bones budget. There are no added, other than some actual numbers that we knew on increases, but there were no added programs within this budget. We want to be sure that the council understands the financial condition, that the staff understands the financial condition of the city. But very proud of the staff and the work that they put into this budget.
Thank you, Marty. Anybody? Any questions?
You're welcome.
So again, the plan is to hold we have to wait 30 days from the time that we file the proposed budget. That was done on Thursday, the 21st. That puts us right in line to have a public hearing, put the notice in the paper of the adoption of the tax rate. And again, the tax rate, I know we want to fare more on the side of the constituents, but also the new law, because it's not definitive. We, again, wanted to be conservative and not take any risk of going for the voter approved, so that if a few months from now they kind of come back with some weird interpretation, and we're on the hook. So again, the advice, my feeling also from TML was we got to be conservative, but I had a feeling that the council will probably want to err on just the lower rate anyway. So.
Well, I think our attorney also kind of felt the same way, because the interpretation of that new law is still kind of, I don't know if we really have a good understanding of it.
You can argue all sorts of ways about it.
Yeah.
But as far as the 30-day wait, that's standard.
Yeah.
So we need to implement that. So that's why we're shooting for the 23rd as a planned special call meeting. We would have the hearing, and we'll make, we're working with Marty also to make sure we're following the law. So hopefully on Monday, Marty will kind of circle back with you, kind of recap, and then kind of get the plan going. We're in contact with the tax assessor collector as well. She's, doing her part and going to help us along the way also with making sure that we're noticing in the paper properly. And of course, that's always a timing issue, because to run it on a Thursday, you got to put it Thursday before.
Yeah.
So, but again, if there's no issue with with the proposed budget and we're ready to move forward, we can start putting stuff in the paper, get everything lined up, and then, like I said, 23rd, have public hearings for both tax rate and the budget, and then open a special call meeting, and then pass the budget.
Okay. Anyone? Any concerns or? I know it's a lot of information to look through.
But I feel confident if Marty thinks that we're doing it, correctly, I think, I'll feel
Yeah.
confident on it.
I think my biggest concern with going with the other tax rate, with the higher tax rate, is if we start collecting taxes at that rate and then the interpretation comes back that we can't, then we have to reimburse people, and it's hard to kind of go through the process of reimbursing, thousands and thousands of dollars that we've collected already. So, and then having to go back and amend the budget because, we're going to have to reimburse. So, I think just kind of playing it safe until we know exactly what the interpretation of that law is going to be, how it's going to play out. And then we have a little bit more background on our water meter system, how that's going to affect us as far as revenue wise. I think that was probably a good call by you guys and Marty. So
I mean, it was kind of, when Marty came to us initially, that's one of the first things she mentioned, the timing and some of the unknowns. This is who will be responsible, fiscally responsible. This is the best approach. Again, this isn't the end of it. We're going to come back mid-year and address some of those wants.
and of course, then by next year's budget, we'll be working on next year's budget. Then the following year, the Congress, Texas legislators are back in session on the 27th, and who knows what they're going to put out then. So, it's just, it's kind of trying to figure out what they were thinking when they put some of this stuff in place. But I know Marty's got her attorneys right at TML. They're kind of looking at it as well. There's some issues that they're going before, I guess, before the legislators to try to find out, get an proper interpretation. So,
Marty was at the Capitol Friday, too, so they're actively involved in talking to these senators who wrote these bills to get some better interpretation.
what was that now?
I think there's an update Friday.
Oh.
Right.
There was. Go ahead, Marty, I've put down speaker.
Perfect. Yeah, we spent about 9 hours yesterday in committee, and the major discussions were revenue for expense caps. There's a big discussion on a couple of bills that want to limit how your expenses can grow throughout the years. And so we had a couple of people go and testify that again, we believe that every city is different, and we want to be there to support our neighbor cities in the state of Texas. So we talked a lot to elected officials on how it's not one size fits all in Texas, but works for Dallas may not work for others. And so we're hoping that those two legislators want this specific bill that they do not pass, that they postpone. So I'm hoping they listen. There were quite a few member cities throughout the state of Texas that we're talking. There's a couple of posting and reporting requirements that may change. I'll make sure that Sal and Betsy folks are aware of what is happening at this special session, so that we're again following the Texas law.
Thank you.
Okay, Marty, thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you guys want to just go through the calendar one more time, and if there are no more questions, then we can probably just adjourn, and then we'll be looking forward to having the next meeting. I guess a 30-day wait. Have that 30-day waiting period.
Right, so the calendar, again, we're here, we are meeting the 23rd. There was a deadline to post, deadline to file the proposed budget. We did that ahead of schedule, one day ahead of schedule. So, and then we have to post in the paper, by September 4th. We're, sounds like we're moving in that direction. And then, of course, on the 23rd, we're going to hold that record vote on the proposed tax rate. And then we're on the same, this is just talking about the same thing as far as a public hearing, the newspaper. Wednesday, September 17th. And that's again, the paper advertisements, and then we go back here to the 23rd, which is again our date to help hold the hearing. So, I mean, pretty much everything's set for the 23rd.
Okay.
Just bring it home.
She's getting attacked.
Yes.
And then if you want to go real quick to the rates schedule. I just wanted to mention,
The fee schedule?
yes,
Okay. Gotta go find it.
the only
Back in the
thing
back.
showing in the right column are the increases.
Yeah.
The approved amounts would stay.
Yeah, so everything is pretty much the same. I think there's just a little bit, some formatting issues that we kind of foresaw, just so we can make it more clear, because we publish these, on on our website. We want to make sure people understand. But other than that, like, this is what, more or less what we're looking, the 4% for the solid waste, for the garbage. And y'all, that's, I believe, your last few pages in your packets.
And that would be the October 1st date.
Right. And then the water usage, I mean, this is kind of still up in the air, but we wanted to give people an idea of what we might be looking at a 5%. So fingers crossed it goes down. Be positive. But that's just pretty much the only increases or changes to the current fee schedule. Yeah, everything else is. And these, it's, of course, it's on our website, the proposed budget, but we also do have hard copies available to the public at City Hall and at the library. So if anyone wants to come by, we can email them if anyone wants it. I mean, but it's on the website. So, but we're just trying to reduce costs with copies and stuff. But if anyone wants a hard copy, it's available to them. We just have to charge them, per copy.
Right.
So,
Sorry.
All right.
okay. So let Marty go.
Yeah, we can let Marty go.
Okay, Marty, thanks for your time. Well, we're going to probably adjourn just a little bit here.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Obviously, we can probably adjourn if everybody's okay with, if there are no more questions. But if any questions come up, just call Sal, Betsy, and come and meet with them, as you look through the information a little closer. I know it's a lot of information to look at, but they have really worked really hard the last two weeks to try to get this so we can get it approved and get it on in the paper and have our 30-day grace period and all that done. So, I appreciate the hard work you guys have done. I know we've been back and forth and you guys have stayed late a few days over the last 2 weeks. So I really appreciate it. And again, if anyone has any questions as you look through the material, feel free to come by and talk to them. Marty's going to be also available as well. So go ahead, sir.
No.
No? All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, then we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you all so much for coming. Enjoy your weekend.
Now it'll turn off.
You want to turn off the...
It didn't turn on. Now it turns on. Now it'll turn off. I know.
It's like the